I traveled to Israel for the very first time. And obviously I was excited about going to where Jesus walked, right? So one morning I found myself on the Mount of Beatitudes. Now, archaeologists aren't exactly sure if this is where Jesus preached that sermon, but if it's not the exact location, it gives you a pretty good idea of what he would have seen as he said those words. If you had been with me that morning, you would have felt the breeze coming up from the Sea of Galilee, see the water sparkling in the distance, and heard my dad giving a devotional on that passage of scripture. But if you had really been me that day, as I sat there under the shade of a huge tree, you would have felt something land on your leg, and then looked down to realize that a bird had just gone to the bathroom on you. Now, take a step back. I'm an extreme germaphobe, okay? I shower 1 to 2 times daily. I always have hand sanitizer on my keys. People have even complimented me for how thoroughly I wash my hands. So this happening to me was no small deal. So I sat there under the tree, hearing my dad do this devotional, and he gets to the part where he's talking about how God takes care of the birds of the air. And I'm like, yeah, you kind of took a little too much care of that one. But as soon as he finishes speaking, I run off to the bathroom, where I try to clean myself up with watered-down soap, toilet paper, and an Israeli bathroom attendant who speaks zero English and thinks I just don't understand how the soap pump works. So you're probably wondering, why am I telling you this story? You may never find yourself in Israel, and I hope you never find yourself with bird poop on you. But every day, you face similar choices. Whether it's a rude coworker, a disappointing first date, someone on the street who isn't nice to you. Every day, you face offenses and annoyances that you can either stay focused on and let distract you from the beauty around you, or move past and embrace what's ahead. But how do you move past these scenarios? How do you move past something that's so annoying and bothersome to you, like the bird poop was to me? The answer is simple: gratitude. In the next 9 minutes, I'm going to give you 3 steps to improving gratitude. You'll learn how gratitude can help you improve your control, context, and connection. You'll learn tangible ways on how to actually practice gratitude, and you'll hear what your life will look like if you start implementing this in your life. So why should you be grateful? It's Thanksgiving. Everyone's telling you to be thankful, right? Everyone from kitschy pillows at Kohl's to your grandma at the dinner table is reminding you to just be thankful. But why should you actually implement this practice in your life? So research published on Time magazine found that gratitude improves your life in 3 ways: connection, control, and context. So raise your hand if you have to have any contact with any person ever on any kind of daily basis, right? That's all of us. We're all going to be dealing with people for the rest of our lives, whether we like it or not. But gratitude is one of the most important tools you have for improving your relationships with other people. Studies have found that gratitude breeds connection. So focusing on the things that you're grateful for about someone can help you overlook the annoyances of everyday life. So when your mom's nagging you to go clean up your room, just remember all the things she sacrificed for you. Or your boyfriend isn't texting back quick enough, think of all the times he's been there for you. Gratitude helps you move past the everyday annoyances and embrace everything you love about the people you're with. Secondly, gratitude improves your control. Northeastern University did a study on college students, and in this study, they had 2 groups of students, a group who practiced gratitude and a group who didn't. And at the end of their study, they had the groups make a choice. They can either choose to have one sum of money paid out to them right away, or they could have a larger sum of money paid out to them over a period of time. And the study found that the students who practiced daily gratitude actually chose the larger amount of money paid out over a longer period of time. So gratitude helps you focus on what's ahead of you and not jump the gun and get what you want instantaneously. But gratitude also helps you with your physical control, overeating. It's Thanksgiving, almost Christmas, we're all gonna be faced with overeating, right? But going back to the idea of patience, Susan Pierce Thompson, an eating psychologist, said that gratitude replenishes willpower. So being grateful and mindful of what's in front of you helps you forget and move past what you think you don't have or what you think you should gain. But finally, gratitude improves your context, or how you see the world. Thompson, the same researcher, suggests the 3 good things practice to people struggling with depression. In this practice, you focus on 3 things you're grateful for and experience joy and happiness. Psychology Today outlined research that found that gratitude increases serotonin. Serotonin is a neurotransmitter that increases happiness and joy in your brain. And what's interesting about serotonin is that antidepressants actually function to keep serotonin more highly concentrated in your brain, or keep your brain using serotonin for longer periods of time. Now, I'm not a doctor, and please don't stop any treatment. I don't want to oversimplify the complexities of mental illness. But I have personally experienced how practicing gratitude can help if you're struggling or having a worse day with your thoughts. But for everyone, happiness improves joy. Emma Sapala, a researcher at Yale and Stanford studying happiness, said, quote, "Gratitude is something that leads to much more sustainable forms of happiness because it's not based on that immediate gratification. It's a frame of mind." So now you've learned how gratitude improves your connection, your control, and your context. But how can you be grateful? How can you actually implement this practice in your everyday life? So going back to the idea of context, Thompson defined the 3 good things exercise. For you, this can be as simple as making a mental list. At the start of each day, remember 3 things from the day before that you're grateful for. Start your day on a good note. And if you pray or meditate, this is a good time to reflect on those things. But maybe you want something more tangible. Maybe you want something you can actually measure and remember. I recently found an Instagram account called Thank You Year, and it's run by New York-based writer Gina Hamaday. And Gina began writing thank you notes every day for every single day in 2018. And she picks a different theme of gratitude each month. One month, she's grateful for her health. The next month, it's her travel. The third month, it's for the people who have helped her as she raised her son. And each day, she thinks of someone that she's grateful for in one of those categories and writes them a thank you note. And she'd write to anyone, her former employers, people that wrote cookbooks that she loved and appreciated and made recipes from, even her neighbors that played with her son and helped her as she started on the task of motherhood. And what was interesting about her project was not only that Gina experienced increased gratitude, but the people that received her notes were impacted as well. They shared how this made them realize that people really were grateful for the small acts they did every day, things they might not even consider someone being grateful for. Now, you don't have to do the same project, but I want to challenge you this season to write to someone unconventional who's helped you. Stop and think of someone that you've been grateful for lately. Maybe it's a professor that's gone out of their way to help you, or a sibling who helped give you encouragement during a time of need. Maybe it's a friend who's always there for you. Expressing gratitude to them will help yourself, but it'll also help them as well. But the final way you can increase gratitude, and perhaps my favorite way, is through service. Serving others reminds you how blessed you are, and then you can steward that gratefulness into more service for others. This summer, I found myself at my 9-to-5 office job working as a church receptionist. Exciting, right? While my friends were going to the beach, the mountains, or just watching Netflix, I was taking phone calls and doing data entry. I used to grumble about getting up early, having to fight rush hour traffic to get to work, and then spending 8 long hours stuck behind a desk. Then having to get up and just do the same thing the next day. Until one day, I was reminded how blessed I was and how I often complain about the things I should be most grateful for. See, I work at a church, and because we're a religious institution, people call often asking for financial help or for resources or for places they can go. And I began receiving calls from women living just 1 mile away from the church, week to week, in hotels. Some were facing eviction with their small children. Others were about to have to go to a homeless shelter, but they were going to be separated from their son because he was too old to go to the women and children's shelter with them, but he was too young to stay in a men's shelter by himself. And it was as I sat there in my air-conditioned office with a stomach full of food from lunch, knowing I'd go home to a loving family and a roof over my head, that I realized that serving others and helping those less privileged and blessed than you can help you reflect on what you're grateful for. So look into serving at a community center, or in the foster care community, or going on a global missions trip. Sometimes serving others is all you need to remind you how blessed and grateful you should be. So I've told you why you should practice gratitude, improving your control, your context, and connection. I've told you how, through reflection, writing, and serving, you can become a more grateful person. But in conclusion, what will your life look like if you go from grumbling to gratitude? So going back to my story in Israel, if I had stayed focused on what was bothering me, I would have missed incredible experiences throughout the day. I would have missed hiking down the Mount of Beatitudes, which, trust me, took a lot of presence because I was going down a steep dirt road down a mountainside. Or I would have missed walking by the shore of the Sea of Galilee, visiting one of the first places that Jesus appeared to his disciples after his resurrection. And perhaps most importantly, I wouldn't have been fully present as I took a ride on those waters and reflected on one of my favorite passages of Scripture where it actually happened. And gratitude can help you do the same thing. Instead of staying focused on the small things that annoy you every day, gratitude opens your eyes to the big and little blessings that are all around you in every moment. I've personally found myself changed by my own journey to gratitude. I used to, and still honestly do, complain a lot. But practicing gratitude and stopping to reflect in the moments where I feel most stressed, most frustrated, and honestly most ungrateful have helped me become a more joyful and content person. And it's not just me that's noticed this. Others have noticed that I'm a more pleasant person to be around. So in this season of Thanksgiving, I challenge you to take gratitude and thankfulness just out of one simple holiday with your family and make it into a lifestyle. Go from grumbling to gratitude and see how your life improves in connection, control, and context. Thank you.